The Pythagorean Theorem. Let's get right into finding out what it is and what do we do with it. It's used with only right triangles. That's the only things that it can be used for. We can find a missing length of a side if we've got the other two sides. And it's a very special relationship that once we figure it out, we can use it for any type of right triangle only. It doesn't work for scalene triangles. It doesn't work that are not right triangles. It doesn't work for acute or obtuse triangles. It's got to be right triangles. It's got to have that right angle in it. Now, um, when you look at the right triangle, go ahead and find the right angle. And in your mind, you just kind of highlight those two sides that make the right angle. And we could call these legs. Um, the other side of the right triangle is called a hypotenuse. And I know it's spelled in a funny way, but we call it the hypotenuse. Okay, so these are the legs that are the right angle. These are the hypotenuse. Now let's get a little bit of practice. Find the legs of this triangle. Pause the video and hit play when you're ready. There's the legs. Now, obviously, it's the legs of the triangle. Can we find the hypotenuse of the triangle? Right there. What about the legs of this triangle? Yep. And here's the other thing. The legs can be labeled as A and B. The sides of that right angle we call legs, but we can replace the word leg with A and replace the other word with B, and we don't really care which one's which. So if the first one's B, the second one's A. If the second one's B, then the first one's A. We don't really care which leg is A and which leg is B. It's just totally up to you. Well, guess what the hypotenuse is labeled? C. So the legs are A and B, and the hypotenuse is C. And the hypotenuse is always C. And that part is really important to remember. The legs we don't really care so much about. They're A and B, but that hypotenuse, that one is always C. So let's get a little bit of practice here, labeling the legs and the hypotenuse as A, B, and C, because this part is vital to understanding this lesson. Um, First off, find your right angle. The right angle represents the legs, so we can label those as A and B. Again, it doesn't really matter which way. And then the leftover side is always your hypotenuse, which is C. So again, it just depends how you label your legs. Okay. Now, let's go do the same thing again. Find your right angle. It's right there. So label it as A and B or B and A. The remaining side is your hypotenuse. And there you go. We've labeled that right triangle with A, B, and C. Now, this is the Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. This is the relationship that you see in these right triangles all the time. So let's take a look at this right triangle. The legs are 3 and 4. So let's just label that 3 as an A, and let's plug that 3 right in here. Since the length of this side of the triangle is 3, we're going to make this A 3. Now, the other leg, B, which would be this one right here, is 4, so that 4 is going to slide into that B. And the hypotenuse C would be 5, and so that's going to be 5 squared. Now let's see if this makes a true statement. It does. 25 does equal 25. And so this is the relationship that we find in every single right triangle. We can take the legs and hypotenuse and plug them into this formula, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, and it will always make a true statement. This isn't that useful to us right now, but let's stop and think about um, what we would do trying to find the missing